Hi, I'm Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. So this is my living room. If you'll notice, there's a pretty standard piece of furniture that's missing. Now I could have headed over to Facebook Marketplace and found something cheap or free, but a lot of my furniture has been obtained that way, so I thought it might be nice to actually splurge on a good piece. I love river resin tables, and I came across this one with flowers suspended in it. And while it is gorgeous, it and others I came across online like it are a bit out of my budget. So since I work with resin daily for my job, and my friend Nathan and I have done resin pours before, I thought we might be up for the challenge of a river resin pour table with flowers suspended in it. And for my design, I thought I would mash these two tables together. I really like how this one has the flowers suspended on a dark background, but I like how in this one, they kind of float down the middle as if they're going down a river. So for my table, I was going to combine these two. And since I had my design, it was time to get started. To start, I got my piece of wood, and in order to make the river down the middle, I'd need to cut it in half and then flip the pieces around. I don't like this.
What, cutting it?
Yeah, I don't like this.
Am I cutting it or are you cutting it?
I might ask you to cut it.
Okay, you're deferring all responsibility to me.
Currently.
If I fuck it up, it's
your fault.
It's your fault. So basically you just said, no, I do not defer it to you. I do not defer any blame to myself.
I will be in the wrong if Nathan fucks this up.
Okay. It's on the record.
Yes, it's on the record. And he did an absolutely marvelous job and didn't fuck it up. And so we had our two sides of our river. Now it was time to make the mold box. For this, we figured out how wide we wanted the table, then cut strips of wood to frame that. Or rather, Nathan cut pieces to frame it. Then we laid down Tyvek tape on our base piece of wood as well as covered our wall pieces. Then we assembled our box. Once it was assembled, we went in with an oil-based clay to really seal our seams so we wouldn't get any leaks. And to be absolutely sure all the resin wouldn't stick to our box, we sprayed it down with mold release. And once our mold box was done, it was time for dinner and a break with the sweet baby kitten. But then it was time to get to the serious work of building the actual table.
Let's take these boys out of the shop first. Whoa, it's like it was just there. Whoa. Okay, and then come over. Oh, really? Tommy's right here. Oh my God, baby. Yeah, now you.
I dare you to leave that audio in.
Maybe. Ta-da! Since the boards were not completely flat on the bottom, Nathan had a brilliant idea to make these wooden clamp dealios to make sure they stayed flat, and once our wood was secure, it was time to mix up our first batch of resin. Some resin was left clear to coat the bark of the wood. This was so hopefully it would get absorbed into the wood and we hopefully wouldn't get air leaching out of the wood as we poured more layers. The rest was going to be our base layer, which we would lay all the flowers on, and this was the only layer we were going to color. So for this, we used black pigment, as well as blue to green color shift chrome powder. Sadly, when I mixed this powder with the black pigment, for some reason it seemed to absorb all the blue that was in this and really only show like a green to gold. Luckily, Nathan had some blue pigment of his own and we were able to get the look we were going for. Now it was time to pour the base layer. But first, we quickly remembered to make sure it was level so all our resin didn't pool to one side. And since it was level, we could proceed with pouring. Once it was poured, we hit it with a torch to pop the bubbles. And then we just left it to cure. Now that our base layer was poured and set, it was time to figure out how I wanted the flowers laid out. And once I had an orientation that I liked, we super glued them in place, starting with the loose flowers and then gluing down the sprigs.
Hopefully this all fits in here.
Are you gonna pour it in the big bucket to double mix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just figured I'd get started off here. Is that what you wanted?
Look at the pearlescentness of it all. And once it was mixed, it was time to pour the resin, and we realized we both had the same concern. My fear was that the paper boys were gonna bleach color.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that too. I decided not to bring it up because I didn't want you to panic.
I was like, I mean, it could be a cool effect if it happened, so whatevs.
It's okay. We're good. Everything's okay.
The precision. That works. Alright, I'm gonna pour some over here.
Make sure to fill your knob too. Shut up.
I said nothing. So that's it? That's all of it?
That's all that we had.
Okay.
I would just, let it settle. I think it's starting, I mean, it's looking pretty even. I would say.
That's one way to do it. Now, I mentioned earlier that I work with resin every day at work. I'm a prosthetic tech, which means I make prosthetic limbs for a living. And part of what we do is we laminate fabric in resin. And when we do that, we specifically do a white layer before the fabric layer, because when fabric gets in touch with resin, two things happen. It tends to darken and it becomes translucent. I do this almost every day. So tell me why it did not occur to me that putting fabric, fake flowers, over a dark color would yield the same results and have the same issues, which are it would become translucent and it would darken, and on the dark background, they might kind of get lost. I don't know why that information didn't seem to translate from what I do every day to this project, but when we did their first pour of adding the flowers into the resin, actually incorporating it in the resin, I was a little bit sad because they definitely didn't pop the way I had initially envisioned them, and they became transparent and kind of melded more into the background. But at this point, it was a little too late, so we just had to roll with what we had. Sadness. But not really. They'll just look like ghost flowers.
That's gonna be kind of cool. I think it's good that you added the glitter, because if you didn't,
It would be less visually interesting.
the ghostliness of the flowers makes the shimmeriness look cool because it's like very ethereal looking. No, that's just my artist's take on it.
Hot take. So the goal for the third day was to mostly encapsulate all the flowers, as well as do a light coat on the wood to seal it for the final coat. At this point, I think you get the drill. We mixed, we poured, and we left it to set up. So now that all our resin pouring was done, it was time for the moment of truth and time to get it out of the mold.
Looks pretty good.
It does look pretty good.
Ooh, whoa, yeah. It's pretty rad.
Maybe just do the edge and call it a day.
I'd be fine with that.
See
That's
how
work for me.
these edges go. It looks like, oh, bitch!
It's kind of a little ripply, but
I ain't mad at it though.
okay, cool.
I'm curious how heavy it is.
I'm curious what the bottom looks like.
That's kind of weighty. Ooh, I mean,
Are you trying to be a good videographer there by showing the piece to the camera? Or are you just absorbed in your own world?
ta-da! Ow. Yeah, that edge is sharp.
We're gonna see it. See, I mean the sharp edge, yeah.
Yeah, sharp edge router and that's it?
I mean, we could literally route the edge. And do you want a rounded edge or do you want it square?
How round is round? That's the question.
Depends on how round you want it.
I
We
wouldn't
can-
want it
we can-
particularly round. I don't know that we could like test though, you know?
Or an angle.
Can we test on a piece of wood?
You sure could.
Okay. So we did some tests to figure out what degree of rounded edge we wanted, and once we found what we liked, it was time to get to routing. Routering? It was time to do the thing. So for the legs, I decided to go with wood and make 2 rectangles. I then stained them this mahogany color to try to match the bark. We then sanded down the surfaces that would be contacting each other and attached them with wood glue and finishing nails. Then in order to attach the legs to the table, I had no idea how to go about this, and I got a lot of suggestions from coworkers and friends, but ultimately we decided to go with Nathan's idea and use dowels to attach them. And for this, we drilled holes in our legs and then drilled corresponding holes in our table. Then we used wood glue to secure the dowels and resin to secure the cross beams to the underside of the table. Next, we hammered it to make sure the legs were nice and flush to the tabletop. Then clamped them into place until they were fully cured. I'm gonna be honest, I am freaking pleased with how this came out. Huge shout out to Nathan for agreeing to work on this with me. There's no way I could have done it without him. He actually has his own channel, which I will link below, where he is documenting the development of his own game, so be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, please think about subscribing. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!